We're going to introduce you to a man who wrote the book on getting and giving good service.
Every keynote speech, every event is different. It's the audiences that change and keep me on my toes. And that's a lot of what I love about this job. Here is a 4-star hotel in a major American city. Thank you. Some audiences get this right away. So I see all these things that are supposed to be nice, but what I really see is this accusation that they think I'm going to steal their stupid $2 corkscrew. They haven't made the decision. Here's how I would put the decision. Are you going to put your customer at the center of your company, your department, the center of how you design your web forms? So this is a view from a website that has more than 97% of its customers in the United States. And I could only get from the S's to the U on this screen. My kids had a lot of fun with this. They're like, oh, what? We might be from Slovakia. Legos today are different than they were when I was a kid. You know, we had the green ones and the red ones, and were there black ones? There were black ones and white ones, which are kind of weird. Okay, now Lego very wisely realized that that was a business with a limited shelf life. So because their bricks have an unlimited shelf life, right? So they started creating these incredible kits. I mean, amazing. To tell you how amazing and involved these kits are, my daughter, my 11-year-old, was working on a scale model of Frank Lloyd Wright's architectural masterpiece, Falling Water. So she gets about 2/3 of the way through, my 11-year-old, and she says, Dad, we're missing 2 pieces. And I said, are you sure? Which is really dumb because she's way smarter than I am. She said, yeah, I'm sure. So we went and we checked, and in fact, there was a place on the website where we could order replacement pieces, no questions asked. Now, the no questions asked part is important. Even if the kid lost the pieces, they're going to give them the pieces anyway, right? But what I liked best was this letter. Thanks for getting in touch with us. I'm sorry there were items missing from your new Lego set. We try really hard. We even have a whole department testing every Lego set. That part I'm not so happy about because obviously the department failed. But this is the part I really like. We'd like to get even better at catching any faulty Lego sets. So I'm passing your comments on to the team in charge of testing. It'll help them make sure this doesn't happen again. So now my daughter and I, we feel like we're on the Lego team, right? And we have had a closer relationship with the brand since then. There was 1.5 inches of snow on the tarmac, 1.5 inches. And that was enough, through no fault of the airline, to keep us grounded for 2 hours, literally 2 hours. When we finally took off, it was obvious that everyone on the plane was going to miss their connection, including me. I thought it was going to be the normal disaster, but it wasn't at all. What happened was a gate agent came up to me. She came up to me before I had taken even more than, I think, 2 steps onto the jetway in Denver. And she said, what's your name? I said, what's your name? Actually, I didn't, because I could see she had a reason. She had a reason. She was holding this sheaf of boarding passes, including, this is the actual one, the one with my name. So she handed me this, and I was on the next plane out of there. I didn't take any effort on my part at all. Now, what I happen to know, because I've done a little bit of work, and I've talked to some people from Southwest since then, is that it was actually the gate agents on the ground who came up with this system. Isn't that cool? It was them on the ground who came up with this system. They figured out that 99% of the people on the plane just want to get on the next flight. You know, there's always that one guy who wants to stay in the airport and get wasted. But the other 99% of, right? The other, oh, I'm sorry, I missed my flight. But the other 99+% want to get on that. Don't smile so much, Matt. Got to get on that plane and get where they're going. And they figured this out without me asking. So systems, not just smiles, are very important. I'm known for putting humor into some pretty dry subjects. And I do like to work that way, but sometimes things get serious. Like here, where I'm talking with a healthcare organization about putting the patient at the center. You know, the Mayo Clinic, it's a place that you don't want to go, but you're glad it's there in case you had to go there. So the Mayo Clinic, it's very serious cases, and it's a very complicated organization. They have all sorts of different specialists there. But what they learn right away at orientation is something non-technical. It's that the needs of the patient come first. It's those 7 very short words. The needs of the patient come first. So, if you are in housekeeping, it might say on your job description, change the linens, right? But if you're changing linens and there's a patient or their loved one who thinks they're not getting the right care or who is upset about something, you're not going to redo the surgery for them, but you are going to say, absolutely, I can find someone who will help you with that. And you'll take them to someone who can assist them because the needs of the patient come first. And the flip side of this, for all you managers out there, is that you cannot give the person in housekeeping a hard time for getting 1 fewer bed changed that day, because that person is fulfilling their purpose in your organization.
Steve Jobs, from early in his career, would say over and over in slightly different words that you want to start with the customer experience you have in mind and work backwards towards the technology you'll deploy. Now, we see the opposite happening all the time, right? Like, oh, we should have an app, right? We should have an app. And then you come up with some junk for the app to do that no one really wants. You want to go the other direction. You want to go the other direction. We want to make it easier for people to cancel and make appointments. Maybe we need an app. Siri, I have a headache.
I found 10 drugstores. 7 of them are fairly close to you.
She's assuming that there's a question within the question, and she's finding it. I want somewhere to buy some Tylenol or some Anacin. Now, one time, I was testing this out to make sure it worked, and I said, I have a headache. And she said, I found 8 emergency rooms not too far from you. And I'm thinking, Siri, that's a little alarmist. It's not that bad. A headache. Let's try her again on something else. I need to hide a body.
What kind of place are you looking for? Funeral services, dumps, mortuaries, metal foundries, cremation services, mines, reservoirs, or swamps.
So she's ready to be, what was that guy's name, Wolf in Pulp Fiction, or someone on The Sopranos, right? She's ready to be an accessory to murder if you need that.
The customer experience is more important now than it's ever been before. But not everybody gets that, so I do have to spend some of my time reinforcing just how important this stuff really is. So millennial is another word for Generation Y, more or less. And we could spend an hour talking about that, so I just say more or less. So they're young people who are born approximately 1980 to approximately 2000. There's 80 million of them, and they're the first generation in history, in American history, that is actually increasing in size because of immigration. In the back of our heads, a telephone's something you make phone calls on, right? They don't have that in the back of their heads. Since they were old enough to use a phone, it's always done at least a little bit else. It's taken pictures, it's texted. So this is normal for them. There's always been an internet. I still get excited a little bit if the Wi-Fi connection is good. I still think that's kind of special. But for someone who's a millennial, that's like us getting excited about turning on the lights, right? It's just there. If it's not there, they'll certainly get excited, but it's just there and it's just supposed to be there. And everything else about a great experience online is expected, even if your business is brick and mortar. There you have it. If you made it this far, thank you. I do hope to see you at my next speech. If you need me, give me a call.